When we think of nursing homes, we often imagine safety, community, and care. But what if I told you that behind those polished brochures and friendly tours lies a reality many of us are too afraid to speak about? Today, I'll share with you the raw, unfiltered truth, the hard lessons I learned after moving into a nursing home. If you or a loved one are considering this step, these are 6 things you absolutely must hear first. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about giving you the wisdom to make the right choice. 1. Loneliness is a hidden epidemic. Even in a building full of people, I found myself feeling more isolated than ever. Sure, there were organized activities, but genuine connections were hard to come by. Most residents were lost in their own worlds, dealing with their own struggles, leaving little room for real friendships. The silence in the hallways could be deafening at times, a constant reminder of what had been left behind. I never thought that being surrounded by so many would feel lonelier than living alone. The structured schedules and impersonal routines stripped away spontaneity, the very thing that makes relationships bloom. Conversations often stayed on the surface, rarely touching the heart or soul. There was little room for depth, little opportunity to form bonds that felt meaningful. The staff were kind, but they were busy. Their interactions, though friendly, were brief and task-oriented. It wasn't their fault. They simply didn't have the time to sit down and chat like an old friend would. The result was a life filled with small talk and long, empty afternoons. Family visits, once a hopeful highlight, became less frequent as the months passed. Life gets busy, and sometimes out of sight truly becomes out of mind. It was painful to realize that even the people I love most had their own lives to live, lives that no longer fully included me. The absence of emotional intimacy started to take a toll. I began questioning my worth and my purpose. Was I simply here to wait for the end? Or was there still a chapter left to write? I didn't want to just exist. I wanted to live. Loneliness, when left unchecked, seeps into the soul. It dulls the senses, clouds the mind, and makes even the brightest days seem gray. It's a silent suffering that too often goes unnoticed in nursing homes, tucked away behind smiling marketing images and well-manicured lawns. If you're considering a nursing home, know this. A crowded building does not guarantee connection. True community must be cultivated intentionally, and that is far harder to find than most people will ever admit. 2. Loss of independence cuts deep. Before I moved in, I prided myself on my independence. I had my routines, my small freedoms, my choices. Moving into a nursing home changed all of that in ways I hadn't fully anticipated. Suddenly, every decision, from when to eat to when to sleep, was heavily influenced by the facility's schedule. I quickly learned that personalized care often meant fitting into a system that prioritized efficiency over individuality. Meals were served at set times. Lights out happened at predictable hours. Even bathing had a designated schedule, whether I felt like it or not. It was disorienting at first, and then it became deeply discouraging. I missed the simple freedoms the most. The freedom to make my morning coffee exactly the way I liked it, to go for a walk when the mood struck, or to stay up reading until the early hours of the morning. These tiny acts of choice were now luxuries I could no longer afford. As time went on, I noticed my confidence slipping away. Being constantly cared for started to chip away at my self-esteem. I began questioning my own abilities, relying more and more on others, even when I still had the strength to do things myself. Dependency became a habit. No one talks about how degrading it can feel to be treated like a task on a checklist rather than a capable human being with preferences, moods, and complexities. Even when the caregivers had the best intentions, the system itself made individuality feel inconvenient. What hurt most was not being asked, What would you like to do today? But being told, here's what's happening today. Choices were no longer mine to make. They belonged to the schedule, and by extension, the institution. That gradual loss of agency was heartbreaking. If maintaining your independence matters to you or your loved one, understand that nursing homes, despite their promises, often struggle to truly honor it. You don't just move into a new building, you move into a new way of life, and it's not always one you get to design. 3. Your world shrinks dramatically. One of the harshest realities I encountered was how quickly my world shrank after moving into a nursing home. Before, even simple outings like going to the grocery store or visiting a park kept life feeling fresh and connected to the larger community. Here, those experiences became rare luxuries rather than regular parts of life. The daily environment became repetitive. The same hallways, the same rooms, the same faces. What once felt like an exciting world full of possibility turned into a small, contained bubble. Outings, when they happened, were usually highly structured and limited to nearby locations that catered to the elderly. No more spontaneous adventures or trips downtown. At first, I tried to stay mentally active, reading, writing, watching documentaries. But even that couldn't fully replace the stimulation of real-world experiences. I realized how much energy I used to draw from simply being part of the bustling, ever-changing outside world. Without it, a sense of stagnation crept in. There's an emotional cost to this kind of shrinking world. It's not just boredom, it's a gradual feeling of irrelevance. Watching life go on without you, feeling the distance grow between you and the broader society, it weighs heavy on the heart. You start to feel invisible, even forgotten. The environment inside most nursing homes simply isn't designed to foster growth or exploration. It's designed for maintenance, keeping you safe, fed, and clean. While these are important, they are the bare minimum of what a human being needs to thrive. We also need purpose, challenge, variety. Eventually, the sameness starts to numb you. Days blend together, weeks blur into months. Without new experiences, the mind dulls and hope fades. It's a slow erosion of the spirit that few anticipate when they first move in, but many eventually face. If you cherish exploration, change, and learning, be warned. Nursing home life often unintentionally robs you of these vital aspects of living. It's not a conscious cruelty, it's a system limitation, but the impact on your soul is all too real. 4th, staff turnover wreaks havoc on care. One thing nobody warned me about was just how often the staff would change. Just as I would start building trust with a caregiver, someone who knew my routines, my quirks, and my needs, they would leave. And the process of starting over with someone new was exhausting. Building trust with a caregiver isn't just a matter of logistics, it's emotional. You're allowing someone into the most personal aspects of your life, your body, your space, your vulnerabilities. Losing that connection and having to rebuild it over and over again takes a real toll on your emotional well-being. High turnover rates often mean the staff are overworked, underpaid, and burned out. While many of them genuinely care, the system pushes them to their limits. When caregivers are stretched thin, mistakes happen. Medications get mixed up. Personal care becomes rushed. Emotional needs are overlooked. There were times when I didn't know who would be helping me that day, a familiar face or a complete stranger. This uncertainty added to the anxiety of daily living. Inconsistent care made even small things feel precarious, from how my laundry was handled to how my medications were administered. Moreover, frequent staff changes also disrupt the overall atmosphere of the home. Continuity matters for building a sense of community and stability. But when employees come and go like a revolving door, it's hard to feel safe or truly cared for. Residents feel that instability, even if they can't always articulate it. The administrative staff often tried their best to keep things running smoothly, but systemic issues like low pay and high demand made it impossible to retain good workers long term. It wasn't about individual failings. It was a broken system, set up to fail those it was meant to serve. If you think you're buying consistent care by paying for a nursing home, think again. Consistency is a rare luxury in these environments, and without it, even the best facility on paper can feel like an unpredictable, unsettling place to call home. 5. Financial strain doesn't end after you move in. Another hard truth: moving into a nursing home doesn't end your financial worries, it often magnifies them. Before I moved, I believed that paying the hefty fees up front would cover everything I needed. I quickly found out that all-inclusive was anything but. Hidden costs piled up fast. Special services like physical therapy, dentist visits, or even simple transportation to an outside appointment often came with additional fees. Items like better quality food, personal grooming, or cable TV were extras that could substantially increase your monthly bill. There was also the emotional stress of seeing my savings drain faster than I had anticipated. I thought I had budgeted carefully, but unexpected expenses constantly threw off my calculations. Watching a lifetime of hard-earned money evaporate was not only frightening, but humiliating. Beyond the immediate costs, there was also the nagging fear of outliving my resources. What would happen if the money ran out? Would I be moved to a lower quality facility? Would I lose the small comforts I had left? These fears were not unfounded. They were conversations whispered among residents late at night. Financial dependence on family members, if it became necessary, was another specter looming in the background. Many of us had spent our lives trying not to be a burden. To face the possibility of becoming one was a profound emotional blow. Meanwhile, the administrators rarely discussed these realities up front. Their focus was on presenting the facility in the best possible light, not on giving you a full picture of long-term financial risks. Only after settling in did I truly grasp how incomplete my understanding had been. If you're considering a nursing home, don't be lulled into a false sense of security by promises of full coverage. Question everything. Read every line of the contract. Assume that hidden costs exist, because they almost certainly do, and plan accordingly. 6. Emotional and spiritual growth often stagnate. Lastly, one of the most painful lessons I learned: nursing homes, for all their structure and care, often do little to nurture emotional or spiritual growth. When I first moved in, I thought I'd have plenty of time for reflection, for deep conversations, for finding new meaning. The truth was very different. The environment wasn't set up for personal growth. Activities were often superficial: bingo nights, television marathons, group crafts. While these might fill the calendar, they rarely filled the soul. I found myself longing for deeper conversations, real mentorship, a sense of continued purpose. Opportunities for emotional or spiritual development were rare. Religious services were offered occasionally, but they were often generic and not particularly inspiring. Deep personal growth activities, like book discussions, philosophy talks, or mentorship programs, were practically non-existent. In this vacuum, many residents simply drifted, emotionally and spiritually. Depression was rampant, though rarely discussed openly. There was a quiet resignation in the air, as if everyone was waiting for the end without expecting anything meaningful to happen along the way. I tried to start small groups, to read meaningful books together, to host discussions, but interest was low and administrative support was limited. In a place designed for basic survival, higher aspirations often felt out of place, even unwelcome. As a human being, The need for growth never disappears, no matter how old you are. Without it, something inside you starts to atrophy. It's not just the body that weakens in a nursing home. It's often the mind,